Next question.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. How do the op amps of yesteryear compare to today's? What would you do different if you had to do? To answer the first one, how do the op amps of yesteryear compare to today's, in your opinion?
Great question. They are much better today than they were in yesteryear, but they can be made to sound just fine, even though they were made in yesteryear. Yeah, a long time ago. Here's what op amps are like. Power amps. They have a class A/B output stage, and the top transistor turns on, and then the bottom transistor turns off. And during that transition period in an op amp, there's a little crossover notch. Op amps have idle current, just like all amps do, like tube amps do even. And that idle current makes the crossover notch go away. However, op amps are made in mass production quantities, and so some of them have too much idle current, no crossover notch, but they get hot. And some of them don't have enough idle current, run nice and cool, but have a crossover notch. So that fact gave op amps a bad rap long ago, because they couldn't keep them the same. So the solution is to run them in class A instead of class AB. And to do that, all you have to do is put a resistor at the output of the op amp. The resistor pulls the bottom transistor up, the feedback loop senses it, and the bottom transistor goes on and holds the output where it's supposed to be. But it's the only transistor that will conduct. The other transistors, like, it's not in the circuit, it's gone. So as time's marched on, the IC manufacturers have figured that out, and they've got the idle current down so they're all the same. I used to test ICs, and some of them have notch distortion, and some of them wouldn't. Now none of them do. So it's not a worry. Tell you what, you guys, why don't we take a break now? It's been a while, so I'll take about a 5 or 10. We'll take a 10-minute break, and then we'll reconvene, and we'll start up again. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bob. A couple of things first. Diane made two of these for me, and what it's going to do is force me to design a turntable that can track things.
So much for that laser-guided B&O piece of crap, right?
That's right. So stay tuned.
It'll double as a hat as well.
There you go.
I think the other one will fit better, Bob.
It's a little bit bigger, huh?
Okay, let's see.
Look like a Chinaman's
There we go. Well, now, let me ask you, would you buy an amplifier from this man?
Hell yeah! I'm pretty sure we all have already.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. I think he's sort of seedy with me. I wouldn't buy one.
All right, looks like a happy amp.
Yeah, it's a happy amp, it is. Okay.
All right, Bob, you know over the course of history, it's he said, she said, blah, blah, blah. Well, we'd like to know, and some of us already know, but we'd like to know what happened with Sunfire. Can you set the record straight? Because this is what I know. James called you. He said, have you got your plane ticket? The first words out of your mouth was Sunfire is fucked.
I'm not quite sure that's what I said, but I think, you know.
I deny that. I deny that. Even if it were true, I deny it.
Down from there, huh?
Can you let us know the history so the record is set straight now, and 20 years from now, people aren't arguing as to what is going on, please?
Okay. Well, one day I was sitting in my, this takes us back about several years to when I sold Sunfire. I was sitting in my lab and I got a call, and these guys said, would you like to sell your company? And I said, well, maybe. I'm a hoe. Everybody's got a price. It depends. So they made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and I had all these visions of sugar plums dancing in my head, and they said, no sweat, you can keep it just the way it is, we won't change it a bit, it's cool. And what they were after, and I didn't understand this at first, was they wanted to get into the home theater market. They were in the building business. They made things for homes. They made refrigerators. They had some factories in China that made the refrigerators and the air conditioners, but they had purchased the name of Frigidaire, Whirlpool, names that we are familiar with. And so when somebody would come in to buy a new house, it would have New-Tone doorbells and Whirlpool washing machines and things like that that were brand known to us. And let's see. So it used to be that when people bought homes, they would buy a house and it would have a wood shop in it. It'd have a shop downstairs. And then by and by, as time went on, wood shops fell out of favor and people wanted family rooms instead. And then by and by, time marched on and people didn't want family rooms instead, anymore. They wanted home theater rooms. They didn't know about home theater. So they looked around for companies to buy, and they had a lot of money. They're rich. They're back east.
This is Nortec, correct?
Nortec, yeah.
Okay. Nortec's the big company.
Big, huge, giant company. So they bought about 7 audio companies. Sunfire was one of them because we had gone into the home theater market with surround sound and everything. And that's what they wanted. So then they took it over, and then the housing market fell apart and they lost their market. I mean, everything stopped. It was horrible. The housing market collapsed. They couldn't sell their refrigerators or their air conditioners or their fireplaces or their New-Tone or their Sunfire amplifiers into the home theater market because it had collapsed. And they went bankrupt. They declared bankruptcy, and that was $1.4 billion. That's so much money I can't even imagine it. But that's what they lost when the housing market collapsed. So so then they hired a guy named Steve, what's his name? Mark Terry, to take over all of this money-losing stuff. By the way, Sunfire, amazingly enough, was a little shining golden goblet in all of this loss, because Sunfire stayed profitable because I had cool subwoofers. And so the subwoofers kept the company profitable, but Mark decided he was going to consolidate it. So they shut down everything and decided to move it to Carlsbad. And I wasn't sure which Carlsbad it was, whether it was Carlsbad where the bats are in the caves or California. And I asked that in a big meeting, a huge meeting that had a speakerphone in the middle, Skype thing, and a little TV set, and we were all connected all over the country. And so I asked which Carlsbad was, where the bats were. They thought I was being a smart guy. And I wasn't. It was such a serious question on my part. To make a long story short, I wasn't interested in making. They said that anybody who wants to stay on, has to come to Carlsbad, and of course I don't, because I have a life in Seattle. So that was the end of it. And so I was terminated. I lost my job. That was all last Thursday. It wasn't very long ago.
You're fired.
You should have gone to Carlsbad, Bob.
Should have gone to Carlsbad. Yeah, I know.
You should have went to Bats.
Which was it? Was it the Bats or California?
Well, it was California.
And what's the difference?
Maybe I would have gone to live in it. That sounds
Carlsbad.
In reality, what's the